Molweni Matase, welcome to another day, another vlog, another video, sit down. My name is Bulele Togaza for those who don't know me. And if you're new here, I hope you click on the subscribe button and are part of our family. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you are returning Sabi, a warm welcome back to you guys. I hope you guys are doing good. So I did say I'm going to do part 2. So let's take this as a part 2, which is the giving birth part of the video, kind of the pregnancy journey. So I realized that on the pregnancy video, the first one I didn't specify or tell you guys about the delivery date that we got, as well as the gender of the baby, right? So as soon as I moved with my dad to go do my license, he kind of booked me into a clinic that was nearby the driving school, so that if anything happens, I can be safe and a walking distance, which is like less than 5 minutes walk from the driving school, right? So when I got there, they had to do the documents and stuff for the checkups, because I also did checkups on Payana. So while Skulonto, they also gave me a date, a delivery date, which was I think it was the 6th May. Yes, it was the 6th May that I got Payana. And then after that, I was supposed to go do Ileweza, because on the clinic they don't do a scan. I needed to go do a scan for Ileweza for the pregnancy, like to see how far I am with the pregnancy. They did Lando Bala from the landing. It's like a clock thing, that dates and stuff. They only had that, so they wanted to be accurate in the dates and how far I am. So I needed to go do a scan. They booked me to the hospital that they work with, which is not very far from. It is far because it's another area. So I got an appointment, but I got an appointment for the following week on a Tuesday in the morning. So before that, my dad decided, let us just go to his doctor so that we can do the checkup and see how far I am and the scan whatnot. So we went to his doctor. I did the scan and they told me how far I am. So now that's the tricky part. Payana, they told me I'm gonna deliver on the 19th of May, which means it's over a week from the date in the Nikoyo Pi Clinic, which is like the 6th of May, right? So I was like, okay, it's a big tricky, but sizabona phambili. And then I also got a gender Payana. They told me that the baby was a girl, which was so nice. For me, it was so nice. So yeah, they did that. And then Cancer Corner, they did, it's almost like, I think it's a 4D, Lando. 4D. E4D, I think so, man. But I'm gonna put it up a screen, because like the normal scan that we got when you go for checkups. Layana, it's almost like 4D. I think it's called 4D. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna put it up so that you guys can see. So I got that scan as well, and the heartbeat thingies and all that. It was huge shame, but I couldn't be excited because I was there with my dad. He actually went. I thought he's gonna wait for me on the Lawaiza, on the reception area, but he went in and asked questions, and it was cute shame, but also nervous wrecking home, and I was scared a bit. I didn't even ask anything because like my dad was there. Like, what would I ask? Come on. And I was kind of nervous and stuff. So yeah. So I think after that, we went to the hospital. I was booked corner by the clinic. So my dad took me there, and then Payana, they did the scan and whatnot. And then now the other tricky part is that Payana, they told me a different date, which was in between the 2 dates I got from the clinic and the doctor. I don't remember what the date was, but it was in between as a date is it, which means I had 3 delivery dates now. Yabona. And another thing is that I was told Payana the baby was a boy. Ha. Ibi tricky JB, wow, indaba. So I got a confirmation from different hospitals, doctors, that I'm having a girl, a boy, and then I got 3 different delivery dates from the clinic, the doctor at the hospital, and the private doctor. Yabon? So nje ibi into nje wishy mani ngatavakaliyo, but I was just chilled about it, even though I knew I had to make a choice because I didn't buy Zinto Zomntana at the time. So I obviously needed to buy Zinto Zomntana and whatnot. So I needed to go with the color. Almost when it's a boy, like blue, girl, pink, and whatnot, those kind of vibes. But I was chilled with about it. So now let us start from the week before I gave birth. On the week which I gave birth, Nakona. So on a Monday of that week. Another thing I forgot to say, whilst I was in Yolondo of getting dates of the delivery, what, I had my own date of my own, which I prayed about from. I don't know where I got the date from, but it made sense to me, and I wanted to give birth on the date. And the date that I had was before the dates I got from the hospitals and the doctors and what. So I prayed about it. Like, I literally prayed about it every day. When I prayed for the baby and for my pregnancy, I made sure to send it out to the universe, to God, that this is the date I want to give birth on. So yeah, but one thing I was very specific about is that I don't want to give birth in the early hours, so that ndingazosokola nge-transport, and also in the late nights, because we don't have a car at home. So it's going to be a struggle to go to the hospital to go give birth, because sisayangantoni in the early hours okanye in the late evenings. We are living in South Africa after all, and it's crime kwenye level. So nje, I don't want to find myself involved in any of that. So yeah, I made sure to pray about the date, and also to make sure that I give it out to the universe that I don't want to give birth in the early hours or in the late evenings when I'm gonna need a transport to take me to the hospital, because we don't have a car at home, you know. So yeah, okay, on the week that I gave birth, right? So on the Monday, I told myself that I'm going to go to the mall to go get into Zumdan and whatnot, the things I'm gonna need when I give birth. But the weather was tricky a bit, because it was cold and it was seemed like it's gonna rain. So I ended up not going to the mall. I told myself I'm gonna go the next day. And also another thing, I think I was now very scared of going out because I was pregnant, because throughout the throughout the time when my pregnancy was known ekaya, and also when the time it's also the time when my stomach was starting to show, I wasn't in the province ngelaa xesha. So obviously where I had transport. My dad made sure that xa ndifuna ukuya kuloo ndawo, he takes me there, and if he can't take me there, then he asked one of his colleagues to do that, or umaga, oh yeah, to take me kuloo ndawo, and then they fetch me again. So I didn't have to use any transport. I didn't have to walk anywhere, because I was taken from home to the place I want to go to, and from the place back home, right? And then now I had to go to the mall ngokwami, walk to the mall basically, and obviously I'm going to be seeing abantu. I have this big stomach ready to pop anytime. So Jay, it wasn't make sure to me. So I think I was now it's when it started daunting in me, now I'm really pregnant and I'm going to be seen outside, because I never posted about my pregnancy. So no one knew except for the people who saw me, which is most most part my family, because I wasn't really going out with friends and whatnot. It's only my family who I've told, and also obviously the colleagues who would see me okanye from the clinic, okanye from the driving school, and obviously it's not the people from the province, the province at the time. So obviously no one ever knew. So I was kind of scared about going out. So I think that's the other factor that came to my mind when I had to go behind Zumdana. And on a Tuesday, which is the next day, the same thing happened. I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. But the tricky part is that the next day, which is the Wednesday, was the day I prayed about to God to be the day I give birth. So obviously, I needed to do this thing on Tuesday. And if I'm not doing it on Tuesday, then I won't be doing it. But I guess I was so procrastinating about it, and I was so scared. I put my fears first. I didn't do it. And I told myself I'm going to go again the next day. Right? Little did I know that I wasn't gonna get the next day to go do this, because literally on the same day, which is the Tuesday, I started having the pain. Started feeling pain on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Right after 6 p.m. But it wasn't like hectic, because I read and heard somewhere when I was reading about the pregnancy and the giving birth and stuff, online and through videos on YouTube, that it felt like period pains. So at that time when I first felt it in a Tuesday evening, it wasn't really period pains, it was J light pains. So obviously I didn't get much to it. I didn't think much of it, and I didn't even suspect I might be going into labor. But somewhere at the back of my mind, I thought that maybe this is the start of it. So Nyanike, that happened. I went to sleep later on at around 8, 9. But it wasn't for long, because I think after 9, after 9:30 to 10, that's when it started to feel like period pains. So I knew by that time, okay, this might be the contractions that I was told, I've seen and read about online, because it is period pains. So maybe this is a sort of it. I'm going to labor very soon, undazinjalo. But I wasn't sure. But I thought that, hey, wait, this is it. So it went on until I think it's 11 p.m. That's when I read, also saw somewhere and read that you must track labor pains zakho, like intervals. I'm gonna put a screenshot up because I did that as well. But I started at 11 p.m. because that's when the pain started to be serious. But okay, sure. This is period pains, not like la. So I started tracking it from 11 p.m. and that's what happened throughout. And I think it's after 11 p.m. where I started feeling about, okay, it's very serious and I needed to tell someone about it. So I told my mom. She was in the next room. I told her about it, but okay, I think I'm going into labor because period pains, but it's easy, like they come and go, but I'm tracking them just to be sure. And she was like, okay, sure, I should just keep up with it, and then if they get too much, I should let her know. So that's what happened. I think it's after 12:30 when it started to be too much because I needed to toilet a lot. So I started pooping around that time. Sorry for the language, but I needed to toilet a lot from then. I think I went 3 times from 12:30. I don't know until what time, and then kuyo yonke loo nto I ended up vomiting. Like I started vomiting. I didn't like go to the toilet anymore, but I felt that vomiting and I've been vomiting. So I told my mom that it was serious. I think it was before midnight when I told her. And then when I started vomiting, that's when she was like, okay, I'm serious, like Zizo Munyanke, or she started believing about Zizo because apparently, according to her, when she was pregnant with me, she had her period pains, not period pains, man, labor pains when she started vomiting. That's when she was in labor through vomiting. So when I started vomiting, that's when she was like, okay, I'm really in labor. So I needed to start bathing to get ready and whatnot. Mind you, I haven't put anything, right? I haven't put anything. So I started bathing that time, and then after that, I called the ambulance and booked for Banzo and Kaya and whatnot. And so my mom also got ready, I started bathing after me. Yeah. So also another thing, when I got back from Elewezeni, from my dad, I had to go back to the clinic. I was booked a clinic that was near home, so that I can go for checkups again. So the clinic that I went to was a walking distance from Apekaya, probably not more than 20 minutes walk, almost 20 minutes walk from Apekaya, right? So that's where I went for a checkup. But I wasn't told, Payana, where I'm gonna give birth, where I'm gonna give birth and stuff, because I wasn't told by the nurses but I heard with the people Abendia Kona with checkups. One of them had told me that you can give birth like clinic, but you can't stay long. And you can only give birth Payana if you give birth naturally. But if you are gonna do a cesarean, then they send you to a hospital nearby, right? Okanye hospital Tigerberg. So apparently abantu bona they had ezizinto, like they knew where they're gonna give birth, and we were more or less in the same way, same weeks nababantu, but I knew nothing about it because I wasn't told. So what I had told myself was that I am giving birth naturally, and because of that I'm gonna go to the clinic even though I wasn't booked. I told myself I'm gonna go to the clinic, and if I'm turned away Payana, then it's gonna see Payana basically. So my mom and I did exactly that. We prepared ourselves, and then because I think it was around 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. when they started being hectic, like hectic, because I was going up and down, up in front, sometimes sitting down. I even stopped tracking them because they were very hectic. I couldn't keep up. Sometimes I would, like when I was sitting, I had to sit with my side because it feel like this side had more pain than this one, and then when I go this side had more pain, like wishy man, and I also at some point I couldn't even sit. I had to stand because they were too much when I'm sitting, like in JB needs man guys wishy. But in the midst of all of that, we could see that the ambulance wasn't coming anytime soon, and we knew basically it wasn't going to come because obviously it's a location and it's most probably not going to come because it's never came before. So because of that, my mom and I decided to walk to the clinic. I think it was after 3:30 a.m. So I told my mom, "Ba, girl, let's just go." And she was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Eh, we." And we were scared a bit, but I think because the pain was so much that it overshadowed the fear. I was like, we are going, we are walking to the clinic, you know. So Nyan, my mom and I walked to the clinic in the AMs because I was in pain and I needed to have this baby out of me ASAP, you know. So Nyani, we went to the clinic, we walked basically, like literally walked. And we were very slow about it. But one thing I was saying to myself throughout the way, let me not give birth up and then because I could not take it. One thing I told myself, andizokwazi, is to give birth up and I had to bandinyamezele till I get there, you know. So when we got there, I think we got there after 4 a.m. because basically, like we had to make sure because I was really in pain, and sometimes we had to stop and listen to the pain until it went away, and then we continue again. Like it was hectic, you know. And then when we got to the clinic, it was kind of closed, but we didn't know it was a 24-hour clinic. We thought Tinas is on Linda until an ambulance come to take us to the hospital or something. And then in my mind, I thought the clinic will open at 6 a.m. So we were gonna literally stand outside the clinic till 6 a.m. Basically, that's what I had in mind. And I told my mom that it's better as a clinic, at least we will be 4P to the medical what assistance than being at home where we both don't know what to do when the time comes for the baby to come, you know. So Nyani, we went to the clinic and we stood outside. I think we stood for about an hour, and then we realized that the clinic was open because there were lights. But when we got there, we didn't see. I think we were so clouded by the pain, Komu, and my mom just being there for me. We didn't even realize that the clinic was open and there were lights. You know, it's only after an hour of standing that we saw and we think it's open because there were lights happening up. And when we pulled the gate, we saw the security guard there. He was sleeping basically, but the clinic was open and he allowed us in. It was after 5 a.m. by that time. So yeah, we went to the clinic and then we got in. I got all my documents and I told them that I think I was in labor, and I obviously was sent to a maternity ward. Unfortunately, because it's a public clinic, it's not a hospital, a private hospital. My mom couldn't go in with me. I only had to go in by myself. So I gave my mom imali and the card to go buy izinto zomntana while I went in, you know. So nyani ke, I went in ngaphakathi and they asked me questions, how far I am. They took my card and the booklet that we got Payana, and they checked your kid and whatnot. And they obviously had to check how far I am, which means I had to go into the bed and they put in the fingers to see how far I am. And yeah, and when I got there at the time, I was still 2 centimeters. I was supposed to be 10 for the baby to be ready to come, which means the baby was not ready to come by that time. And I had no choice but to walk around throughout the ward and stuff. It's not really a ward, but because it was an open, it's a ward, but it's an open ward because there's beds inside. There's no privacy for home and stuff like that. Okay, I guess there is a curtain for your privacy, but there wasn't much privacy because it's open plan, you know. So I went in there, and when I got there was one lady who had given birth, but she was sleeping at the time. I think she gave birth in the early hours because besandolala with the baby. They were sleeping, and I was the only one phayana ke ngoku. Sisi khawumi uzoyibisa. Uzoyibisa ba? Imapha senizogqiba ne? Ngizogqiba ngoku. So nyani ke, I had to walk up and down. Guys, I thought I was gonna move. I thought I was gonna record that for you guys, but the way corner, I didn't have the energy to do it. Like the pains, they were too much at that time, you know. Like they were very hectic, no longer like playing. They were no longer period pains. They were more than period pains, you know. And the nurse that was there, like she was chilled about it. I even told her, Basisi, like it's very painful. I think the baby is coming, and she was chilled, Sana. She told me, the baby is still far. Wait, you know, like she was chilled, and also she was a bit rude, too. But okay, story for another day. It's clinic, and I've heard those stuffs before, so I was told, okay, you read about it, that honest mass clinic are very rude. But yeah, I didn't mind about it. So yeah, guys, ndahlala ke phayana. I think the shift for La Lady ended at 6 a.m. and that's when another nurse came in. So when she left, the nurse that came was the one who like being Shem, she looked after me and she had checked, like she was checking on me every time to see how far the baby was and how I was, and they were advising me how to go about it. And also there were student nurses, I think there was about 3 of them, with the nurse lower at 6 a.m. So they helped me, Shem, I don't want to lie. They checked up on me, together with the nurse and the student nurse. So yeah, we too. And then it's after 9 a.m. when they checked bana how far I am, and they saw bana, okay, now the baby is really coming. And we had to go to a separate ward, not the ward where I'm gonna go. It's a room, separate room where I'm gonna give birth basically. So I went in there, and it was the nurse, the morning nurse, with 3 student nurses who were there to assist us. So basically, okay, guys, I don't want to lie to you, Shame. It was hectic. Giving birth was so hectic. At some point, I even told myself that I want them to cut me, but unfortunately, they were unable to do that because Payana, they only give birth naturally and not a C-section. They don't do a C-section, right? And even the nurse who was giving birth to me, basically, was like, they're not gonna cut me. She told me straight up that I was gonna push. I have to push, and I struggled, because I was pushing it, and then I feel that the baby's coming, but I was just out of breath and I was so tired, and I stopped basically, and the baby obviously went back, and they will shout at me. They will shout at me, but I was in so much pain. I didn't even hear them shouting. I was like, son. And she even threatened me, threatened. Yes, she threatened me. She's going to go fetch is scary. She's gonna cut me herself because I don't want to push. I think that's what gave me motivation to really push, because I didn't want to be cut in the first place. I just said it because I was in pain, but I didn't want to be cut. So when she said that she's going to go fetch is scary, I literally just pushed, like really pushed, and the baby really came out, and they were so happy for me, Shem. They assisted me. So, Bettina, they were so nice. They were really so nice. The student teachers, student Nesma, Nalanesi, they were so nice, and they helped me, Shem, so much, Like they cleaned the baby, they cleaned me, obviously, and I was taken to the room and stuff with the baby. It was so nice, Shem, I don't want to lie. My mom was then allowed to buy magazine nezinto zomntana. After I've given birth, she was allowed to buy magazine, and she also bought me izinto zam zochinja, not into zochinja, into zochinja, together with ukutya and stuff. So that's when she was allowed, but she couldn't stay long. She was only told to buy magazine as a season, and then she would leave again. And the security God even came in with her. So she just came in, she saw the baby, and she left the things I'm going to use, and that was it. So also what I didn't say was that when you give birth clinic, you only stay 4 hours. For 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours after giving birth, and then after that you have to leave. Like you don't stay more than that, So because I gave birth at 9:42. So and past 2, and so I was supposed to leave, right? But because I was still tired and still weak, I couldn't do it. And then at 4 p.m. that's when I was supposed to leave. I'm joking, I'm lying. Oh yes, at 4 p.m. that's when I was supposed to leave. But I couldn't leave because my blood pressure was very, I don't know if it was high or low. No, not the blood pressure, man. The blood, it was still coming out a lot, and I was very weak, so I needed a drip again. So they couldn't let me go. And I was also very dizzy for some reason. So they didn't trust me that I'll be able to go home, and they even thought of sending me. They said they're gonna take. Can you guys? Sorry, guys. Can you? Time to. And that's. Yeah. So they told me I'm gonna sit there for 2 hours, and then after 2 hours, if I'm still not okay, they're gonna have to send me to the hospital, right? So they're gonna have to send me to the hospital. So the baby was fine, and I went next. Now I was okay. It was just that I was very weak, and I was very dizzy. Besides the blood thingy, but it was just that I was weak and very dizzy, and they couldn't just let me go because of Londo. So I stayed. They gave me another drip. I think that one iye yafika. I think Randa mostly. I think drip lapane. Is it yeah or yeah? I think it was yeah, na drip. But ke ngoku they put it, the first one was on the other side, and then when I had to get another drip, they put it on the other side, but I fortunately it cut kakhulu and they couldn't even find I was they couldn't find umthamo, so they did it up and down. Yes, I think the second one was up and down. So nyani, I got the drip and I was told to sit and chill, and that's when also my mother, that's when they allowed my mom to come in so that she can assist me with the baby while they try to get me into the mandla to go back home, right? So my mom came in that time to assist with the baby and stay with the baby while they checked up on me, assisted me. Obviously, they had to leave the Mefake trip, but they used to come in, check up on me and stuff. And I also did a birth certificate yomntana during that time. Like before, I did that before I was discharged, because the nurse who does the birth certificate was there at around 12 to go do it before I was supposed to leave. So yeah, so we did all of that birth certificate and whatnot, and they did Lando trip. And luckily for me, after 2 hours I was ready and happy to go home because I was okay, even though I felt a little bit dizzy, but I didn't want to tell them because they were going to send me to the hospital, and I can't do that. I've just given birth, I can't go sleep in the hospital, and also I'm scared of hospitals. I couldn't. So I just told them that I'm okay, I'm ready to go home. I like the same month to go back home. So nyanike, we left the hospital ngila xesha no mom. You guys might be wondering uphumfana in all of this. So at that time, most when I was still feeling the cramps, I told him about it, but he couldn't come because he lives a bit far from Ekaya, and because they only have one car go but work, he had used it to go to work. He was working a night shift, so he didn't have a car to come and see me, so he promised to come in the morning basically, and I was okay with it. But because was no one was allowed in a hospital, even if in the clinic, even though you were the parent, okanye you were my parent, they still didn't allow it. So I told him not to come. He can just come decently, basically. And also he was scared because my mom was there. He is not used to my mom's show. So that was also another thing. He didn't want to come because my mom was there, which I understood. Like, I was okay with it. So yeah, he only came to go see the baby after, like, when I was home. So yeah. So after giving birth, I gave birth on that Wednesday, and I came back on that Wednesday again. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. On Tuesday, my mom had to go back to work because she didn't have a leave. She didn't have a leave to, like, stay with the baby and whatnot. It was hectic in Semenzini. And I started living with my baby, not living, but staying with the child, a newborn, at 5 days. When she was 5 days old, that's when I started being a mom, because on that first 5 days when my mom was here, she was assisting me basically most of the time, and she would allow me to sleep while she stayed with the baby. And even during the night when the baby was crying, she was there to stay with the baby while I slept. And then in the AMs she would bring the baby to me. But now she had to go back to work, and I had to be with the baby alone, a crying baby alone. And she's still a crybaby even now, but back then she was worse, Sana. Yo, she was worse. But we had to soldier on between her, and here we are now, a year and 5 months later. How do you feel about it? Yeah? How do you feel about it? So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys loved it, enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you to 318 of you guys. Really appreciate it a lot. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do now life after birth kind of vibe, the first year of being a mom. I think I'm gonna do that next, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Devices. Baboni. Bye. Bye guys.